We're in the final approach for the bonus day. And as we're approaching the end of the bonus day, I thought it's time to talk about dirty, sexy money. There you go. Give me some love on this one, please. Who wants to make some money with hypnosis? Would that be worthwhile doing? Now, the unfortunate thing is that as hypnotherapists, as half of us are and half of us are becoming, the very people that attracts is the very people that don't tend to do so good in the whole business thing. Why? Because we like helping people. And someone goes, oh, I mean, I can afford that. It's like, oh, okay, come on, I'll do it for free. And then, meanwhile, your kids don't eat and your granny explodes because you can't give that life-saving operation. And it's terrible. Now, joking aside, I know because I've been the same way. As most of you will know, I used to be a lawyer. I used to work in a big city law firm. And I made a big mistake. Or actually, I fell foul of a big and very common mistake. And that's the idea that if you're good enough at what you do, people will line up around the block to come and have whatever it is you can do or sell, right? We've seen it with the big branded names and people standing around the block for whatever it is. And we think it's because what they sell is good. Now, it may well be good as well. But really, the fact is, it's about marketing. Because if no one knows who you are, how are they going to know to come to you? We had a chat with some people came here earlier yesterday as we were setting up, helping out. And we fell into an impromptu chat. And you know, I mentioned that this is why I think, for example, people point at Erickson as like this hugely skilled hypnotist. Personally, I think that 100 Ericksons have lived every generation. It's just no one knows about them. It doesn't take anything away from the man, because I think he was still a genius and did a lot of things to revolutionize hypnosis, added a lot of value. But I actually honestly think even today, there are 100, if not 1,000 people out there that do what we do way better than any of us, that's me included, just nobody knows about them. They probably don't even realize how good they are themselves because they don't even know it's hypnosis half the time. And you've met these people. You know, the guy at a party or a dinner thing or a coaching event or sitting next to you on a plane, it just has this way about them and you just think, this guy's good. And you ask him, what are you doing? He goes, what do you mean? I'm just chatting to you. Right? So why is it that we know about Erickson and we don't know about the guy that sat next to you on the plane? It's marketing. Erickson had two main camps of marketers. One was the NLP community, the Grinder and Bandler, who incidentally were genius at marketing. And the other one was a man called Ernest Rossi, who wrote more books than there are letters in the alphabet about Erickson and published all his works and all the rest of it. He was basically a single-handed, one-man PR machine. So on the one side, Erickson got very famous with clinicians because Rossi was an academic and all his stuff went through the academic circles. He knew how to get that pushed through there. So people heard about him. On the other side, in the commercial realm, NLP sprang up and pushed his name in that sense. So in some respects, the only reason most of you are sitting here, those of you who are of course interested in Erickson, is because of someone's marketing. In fact, you wouldn't be sitting in these chairs if it weren't for marketing. Now, let me ask you this. Based only on what you've learned so far, do you think it's been worthwhile coming here? Are you sure? Yes. Would you do it again? Yes. Now let's imagine for a moment you came across this really sleazy letter on the internet. I know sometimes it gets a bit cheesy. But it was poorly written to boot. And he's like, oh, I don't know, who the hell is this guy? You can't even pronounce his name. He probably can't speak English properly. And he's asking for how much? Who the hell is this guy? No, I don't think I'll bother. Think about how your lives would have been had you not actually paid me money. Think about it. Now, just to mess with your friends a little bit, are you more happy that you paid me money or would you rather not have?
We should have paid you more.
Oh, thank you. I agree. But let's put it this way. Having spent money on something, do you feel that that money was, if you had just decided to save the money instead and sat at home watching TV today instead of coming here, do you think that'd be money well saved?
No.
So in other words, your life has been improved because you've taken the effort to spend money. But it took persuasion to get you here. It took not just marketing, but a way of like persuading you to change your mind. How many people here weren't sure if they should come really? Some thought like, maybe, maybe not. You glad you came? right? So we manipulated you to give us your cash, made you come, and you're happy about that? What's going on here? Well, as hypnotherapists, because this is part of a hypnotherapy training program, right? As hypnotherapists, and you are now exceptionally skilled hypnotherapists, part of what you do, part of your job, is to persuade people to come and see you in the first place. Because you can't relieve problems unless you have two things. One is a client in front of you to work with, and two is enough cash in the bank that you don't have to go and work somewhere else to actually be able to feed your kids and not have to eat your cat. Do you see where I'm going with this? Now, has anyone ever actually here gone to see a hypnotherapist? You don't have to tell me. I actually, when I started, I would see all the hypnotherapists in my area. I want to see what they do, because I was no good at what I did. So I thought maybe someone else will be better. And I'll tell you something that happens, and I can hear this happening all the time when clients call me up as well. Typically, someone thinks about an issue, and they see maybe the ad in the paper, and it's like, oh, maybe the hypnotist guy can help me. But then what happens is the issue flares up, and they go, and then they put the ad away. And they go, oh, you're just silly. They get on with life. But then, of course, life has a way of biting you on the backside. And at one point, they get all the buttons pushed again, and they go, again, they go, damn it, I've got to do something about it. Out comes that paper, out comes the ad and says, they get the phone and go, oh, I can't do this. Then sometimes they'll actually get to the point where they'll call, and then they'll hang up. Anyone here, hypnotherapists, have that happen to you? You know, someone calls, hangs up, right? It's not a crank caller. Then sometimes they'll speak, and they'll be all like I don't know, what does he do? Right? They'll coy. It's like you ask them on a date or something, right? Anyone have that experience? What's going on here? Well, what's happening is these people are afraid. It's part of how they construct the problem. There's a lot of fear attached. Not to mention, there's all kinds of levels on this which is work. There's the fear of the problem itself. There's fear that you won't be able to help them, it won't go away. There's fear of you as a hypnotist, because let's face it, as hypnotists, we still have a ferocious reputation. The person with the mad eyes is going to look at me and he's going to do crazy things, right? I'm going to come up with one-armed chicken like this. That's what their fears are. So their fears are battling their desire to get better, and then on top of that, they have that critical factor going in, this will never work. Then there's this shame and embarrassment because they've got to seek help from the outside, not allowed in our society. Do you see how the odds are stacked up against these poor folks? And then they call up and they go, is this hypnosis? Sure. What can you do? Well, what do you want? I don't know. Bye. Now, you're being very permissive, right? But are you being effective? Have you helped anyone? And this is something that happens a lot with hypnotherapists, because we want to be so kind and say, I don't want to push you, I don't want to just on the edge and tip you over the top. But you're not doing anyone any favors. The question is, do you think you can do something, use hypnosis as a force for good? Can you do something good for another human being? Yes? So if you can do it, then it's your job to make sure they know they can do it as well. That's called hope. If you can't give a client hope, the chances are you can't do the session afterwards anyway. But the thing is, no one actually thinks about how to give someone hope before I even see them. That's part of what your job is. So part of your job really is to find people, give them hope, and then when they're there and they're sitting on the fence, just give them a nudge and say, hey, give it a go anyway. Just come this way. Now, not everyone will come. That's fine. I'm not saying you give them hardball sales tactics like, when is now the right time for you to come today, tomorrow, Tuesday? It's like, forget that. But you need to be able to push them a little bit over their own fears. Otherwise, you're doing them a disservice. It's something that, as hypnotherapists, I think, is sorely lacking. The second disservice you're doing to people, apart from the whole salesmanship angle of it, is, anyone here part-time hypnotherapist? Actually, don't put your hands up because I may embarrass you in a moment. I apologize when I say this. But, how many people actually, and don't put your hands up for this either, but just mentally internalize this. How many people have started as hypnotherapists and then quit and had to do something else because they couldn't support themselves on it? It happens a lot in the industry, hugely. Why? Because there's no business know-how. How many people are you helping if you're delivering pizzas? Compared to sitting in an office, doing the work you love, the work you've come here to learn to do or already know how to do, and come here to improve. But if you're not charging, then you can't feed yourself or your family, you can't pay your rent, which means you will have to end up delivering pizzas or something equivalent, because that's the way the world works. So if you're not charging any money, guess what? You're not doing any good. So the way I like to look at things, and this is again, this is the way I look at things, and I honestly believe this. You're welcome to take it on board or reject it. It's totally up to you. But the way I look at things is, the more money I make as a hypnotherapist, the more good I've done in the world. Now, my aim isn't just to get money, go cheers, and run, and put a little tape on and say, listen to that, that'll sort you out, and then run out of the room. I do the work afterwards as well, right? And I think you guys all have enough integrity to understand that that's part of what I mean. But if my bank balance is healthy, that means there's 100 people out there who are emotionally healthy, and that's proof of it. My bank balance is sick. There's a lot of people out there who I haven't helped, who I could have done, and I've done them a disservice. Now, it may sound like I'm really overlapping a point, but I can't emphasize this enough. Get your business skills up in terms of hypnotherapists, because if you're not actually doing your job. Does that make sense to everyone? Having thought about this, are there any resistances or any reasons why you think like, maybe I don't think I could charge or whatever it is? Another thing, how many people have done free sessions? Right? Happens all the time. And I have nothing against free sessions, by the way. But you do free sessions when you can afford to do free sessions. In order to afford to do free sessions, you need to have plenty of paid-for sessions. The more money you get for a paid-for session, the more free sessions you can do on top of that. So the more you charge someone, the more you can work with the people that you want to work with at, if they can't afford it. Pro bono, thank you. That's exactly right. Now, I'm not saying that you go out there and suddenly charge $1,000 a shot. I'm not suggesting that at all. You have to stay within commercial realities of your area that you live in. But still, you should charge, and you should charge not $25 a head, not $35.99. You should be charging a decent amount so you can make your living, so that when you decide to do something pro bono, your children don't have to eat your cat. Now, it brings me to another idea, and these are just frames I'd like you to just consider and think about fully. How many times have you worked with someone for free, or even just met someone who says, yeah, I'd like that, but I don't think I can afford it. Just, that's really expensive. Right? Anyone afraid of that? You say, $150 for an hour session of mind magic hypnotherapy. You go, $150? Oh my God. Right? Anyone afraid that might happen to them? Well, guess what? Most of the people that say that can afford it, they just don't know it. Anyone here know smokers? Right? How much does smoking cost? On average, per month, between $150 and $250, depending on what country it is, what the taxes are and state, But between $150 and $250 per month. That means per year, they're spending upwards of $1,500, $1,500 to $3,000 per year, gone literally up in smoke. And they can't afford $200 to stop that. If you could pay me $200 and I guarantee that by the end of 12 months I give you back $3,000, is that an investment worth making? But they can't afford it, can they? Why? Because they need to pay for their cigarettes next month. And if that's true of cigarettes, what about other things? The person that tells you they can't afford, I can't afford $150 to, overcome my long-standing fear of life. Next month, they go to the Bahamas because they need a holiday to relax from all the stress that they're being exposed to. How much does that cost? $2,000. Isn't it better to go to Florida or your local corner shop and slide on a little plastic slide? Absolutely delighted because you feel freer than you've ever done in your entire life, than spend $2,000 to be miserable on the Bahamas on the beach somewhere? Do you see where I'm going with this? Now, people don't think this way. Of course they don't. That's why they have the problem. Because they don't value the possibility of living a healthy, happy, ecstatic life more than this temporary short gain, this little perk in the arm. And again, it's partly your job to reframe people, change people's minds. Let them realize that there is hope. And that hope is worth investing in. And that every day they don't invest in that hope, it's a day wasted, or it's money wasted going in other directions. Anyone here ever eat chocolate, ice cream, or some other such thing when they're a little upset or depressed? Yes? Never. Of course, it doesn't happen to us because we're too good for this. Well, how much money are you investing in stuff that you don't even want and have a side effect that you don't like? Because of the condition that you're in. So that's money that could have been happily saved up to do this. Now, by the way, I'm not suggesting that someone who is like on Skid Row, is actually literally eating the next neighbor's cat because they've already eaten their own. But you then charge up their credit card for an extra hit just to have a little bit of happiness in their life. I'm not suggesting that at all. What I am suggesting, though, is that most people who think they can't afford to pay you a professional fee for a professional service don't realize that they can. Just they're thinking in the wrong way, and that's part of what's maintaining their ability to keep the problem. Is that kind of making sense to you guys?